Hello out there, and I'm doing a follow-up video today regarding this Spyderco Efficient because I just recently got this new variation in, and yeah, it'd been about a year and a half since the first time I did a review on this knife. It was one of the earlier reviews that I think I did on the channel. It came out for the first time right around the same time as the first Pair 3 did, so that was January of 2017. And yeah, I haven't had one in a while, and I figured it'd be really interesting to pick one up and see if maybe my opinion changed. You know, one of the very cool things, I guess, and interesting things about having a channel where you put your opinion down permanently for people to watch for all time is that you know, your stuff is being watched, and sometimes your opinion changes over the course of time. And you know, sometimes I'll get a comment about something from a year or two ago that I said, and I don't even really remember saying it. So with this model, yeah, it was fun to rewatch that Efficient video once I got this knife in my hands and see what I felt about it now and see if it really lined up and correlated with my opinion 18 months ago. And the cool thing, I guess, is that it did. It for the most part, I think that everything I said in my review of this the first time around still pretty much holds true. But the budget knife world has changed. And I think when you're judging this knife on its own merits without factoring in outside influences like value and other models that are out there, the Efficient, for me at least, looks a whole lot better. But once you start comparing competitive options, that's when that's when maybe other choices might be better for you, just depending on value and what your preferences are. And we're definitely going to focus on that a lot today. This is not going to be a full review. I will go over some of like the specs and the size comparisons and a couple of the other nuances of the knife that are different from maybe the way that it used to be. But I will certainly link to the original video down below. So if you want to check out what one of my reviews was like about a year and a half ago, definitely do. All right, but for those of you who aren't really aware, the Efficient is one of the more recent releases in Spyderco's value folder line. So, you know, the knives from the Tenacious series are a big part of that, and the Efficient sort of falls into the same Chinese-produced group, but with a different overall design. And this one, after coming out in black G10 and a satin blade in, like I said, January of 2017, now we have a new, it's supposedly limited edition and exclusive green G10, and then a number of different blades for, you know, you have a serrated version, a plain edge version for satin, and then also the same for this black coated blade. And I just thought the green with the black was really attractive and figured, yeah, let's pick this one up. So you can see in the little paperwork here that this knife is specially manufactured for Blue Ridge Knives. Blue Ridge Knives is just a large distribution center, I guess, because this knife is on Blade HQ, it's on GP Knives, a number of different places have it. So I guess Blue Ridge is just the big group that's getting it and then sending it to select distributors, but it is pretty widely available. So no real worries there. All right, so let's talk about some specs and let's do some size comparisons to the rest of the Tenacious line, the rest of the budget folder line. Because I actually, just by chance, right now happen to have one of almost each of them. So here's the Tenacious next to the Efficient. The best size comparison, I think, in the group is the Persistence. Let's bring this a little bit closer. Persistence has almost the exact same cutting edge, but is a little bit shorter in the butt of the knife. And then here you have the Ambitious little mini guy. So, yeah, that's the Tenacious again right there. And even though it looks like there's you know, a difference in length, these are actually lined up right here. So it's actually the same length at the back. So yeah, so for size comparison, you can see it versus the rest of the Spyderco value line. And you know, when this came out, the cool thing about it was it just gave you a new design, you know, something completely different on that value series line. And it was something that was really similar and comparable to a native. And so that's what a lot of people were calling it, just a budget kind of native. That, hey, if you didn't want to spend the money for a G10 native or even for a lightweight one, here you have something in the $40+ range that is, essentially very similar and still be functional and give you a little bit more economic value versus putting in the investment for something, like this. So in that regard, it was really good. And like I said, I enjoyed the knife and I liked it. And there were some little nitpicky things that I had and some things that I thought could have been done better. But that's how most value knives are, right? I mean, most value knives and budget knives have, maybe jimping like this that isn't that great. And let's try to focus on that for a second. The jimping that is just really shallow and almost not really usable. But if you bear down hard, it's actually pretty okay, but it doesn't grab your thumb the way you would want it to, and I think I said in my first video that I wish the forward choil was a little bit deeper, just, for more like security when you're using the knife hard. And yeah, just some slight other fit and finish things, and the action isn't perfect, but it's just fine. Now, one of the big criticisms that I have seen from a number of people on the original model is the quality of the grind and the way that the actual edge was finished and executed. And I believe it was Jeff Jewell who said something about that in one of his videos. But there were a lot of people who were having issues with the blade just not being ground very well. And there is no sharpening choil, so you do have that for a lot of people who have that preference. And I mean, certainly I would like a sharpening choil as well, so don't get me wrong there. But one of the big things I noticed about this knife, and you can probably see it already, look at how that edge just finishes. Look at that. I mean, that is weird. The first efficient sort of ran right up to the end, the same way that, say, hold on, sort of similar to the Tenacious there. Actually, more similar to the Persistence, where it just sort of runs up and then it just, blends into to the rest of the blade, where they just decide to finish the edge. But this one, it looks like it's cut out. And yeah, there you go. I mean, look at that. That is just odd. You can actually see the coating is discolored right here where they were trying to execute that, I guess. And I thought that it might just be my knife, so I've been doing some searches for pictures on the knife. And lo and behold, I'm seeing a bunch of these. And yeah, my hands are filthy. Sorry. But I'm seeing a bunch of these. The picture that GP Knives posted about this knife on their Instagram the other day, this is what their knife looked like. So it's just odd. And there has to be a better way of doing it than this. Not saying that this is terrible and that it's going to ruin performance, but it's just an odd way to just finish up the edge. You could create something just a little bit deeper to have a more pronounced transition instead of just, a little bit sloppy. Otherwise, though, other things about this knife that might be different from the original, things that stand out. This green G10, it's like an OD green. It's really nice in terms of look. It's also very nice in terms of just the way that it feels. It's not high traction, but it's that it's almost like a soft and fuzzy kind of G10. It feels in a lot of ways a little bit like micarta, and I like that a lot. So yeah, I mean, definitely style points, and just overall big fan of that scale. And that's the big selling point, I think, is just the green and the black put together. But otherwise, I mean, functionally, you're not going to have anything better than just a typical efficient. And that brings me to what I think is the biggest talking point about the knife, and that's the value. And the original efficient cost $42. That's what it costs now. I'm not sure if that changed since it first came out, but 42 bucks, which is exactly the same as this Kershaw carbon fiber Natrix. So if you're looking at like budget stuff, it's comparable. But the new versions cost 45 with a satin blade, and then this one right here costs 48. And I'm not going to say it's not worth it, and I'm not going to say not to get it, because you know, if you watch my first review, which, like I said, more or less holds true in most areas, I endorse the knife, you know, for a lot of reasons. But in this day and age, and I think especially with the amount of experience and the number of different knives and new companies that I've gotten the chance to try out since I did that last review, I just think there's a lot better ways to spend 48 bucks on a knife. You know, and I just have a few things, you know, right in front of me. The first one, you know, I just brought out the Natrix. This is also an ACR13 MOV, manual, ball bearing. So there you go. I mean, a CRKT Ripple, ACR13 MOV. This will cost you like 30 something bucks. You know, aluminum liner lock. So there you have it. But then you have a lot of other options from, you know, from more upstart kind of companies that, if you're looking for a budget blade, how about this rake, the P841 14C28N? This is going to run right at 40 bucks. You know, for the people who are into the steel wheels, you know, the Modus, the Cut Jack, the Intrigue, all those with D2, those are all going to be cheaper than this. So unless you're a Spyderco guy, and here is a really, I mean, just a really good recommendation, I'd say, is unless you're a Spyderco guy, or you're the guy who just wants a budget native, maybe, you know, you don't want to shell out the money for a native, or you have a native and you want like something similar, but something that's more of a beater. I mean, there's a lot of good reasons to have this knife, but when I look at the knife, I see a lot more reasons to look elsewhere. So again, judging the knife on its own merits, it seems to do pretty well, but just overall, I think in this day and age, there's just a whole lot more stuff out there now. So, yeah, unless you're that Spyderco guy or you're that native fan, maybe look elsewhere. So, yeah, that's all I got, guys. Just wanted to follow up after a year and a half and sort of bring it home and revisit this model. I'll tell you right now, I like it, but I'm not going to keep it. So that might be the greatest recommendation or not recommendation that I can give. All right, so any other questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, let me know down below. I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching, and take care. Have a good one.